Talked a lot about the Patriots' current regime, and also what we've done the last week or so is talk about the old Patriots regime with this whole weird Bill Belichick to North Carolina saga. I almost called it a debacle. I don't know if it's a debacle yet. It's a saga, though. And it's a weird deal. And in classic Belichick fashion, his first commitment from the transfer portal, or first signee from the transfer portal, I guess they showed him signing, was a center from Holy Cross. Just classic. And we had Pete on, or I was on Pete's show yesterday to talk about that whole deal. And he was talking about his family friend is playing lacrosse at Carolina. I'm like, he's going to know Belichick. Like, Belichick's going to be there all the time. Belichick loves the fact. There's no way he would have gone to an SEC school because they don't play lacrosse. So I'm glad that Belichick is home, as he said, which is obviously bullshit. But the interesting story, what made this thing even weirder, was the report from Diana Russini over the weekend that Belichick actually was looking at coaching the Jets. All right, I need a second confirmation on this. Zach, can we get the SNY report to confirm this?
File this one under things that absolutely nobody saw coming. I can confirm that in the weeks before he took the job as UNC's head coach, Bill Belichick himself actually reached out to members of the Jets organization to both express an interest in coaching the Jets again, but also gauge the Jets' interest in having him coach the Jets again. Now, this is wildly surprising because Bill Belichick has never hid his feelings towards the Jets organization. Ultimately, nothing materialized between the two sides. They didn't even have a formal interview. And I think a big reason for that is because the Jets have made it clear that they are not going to make any rash hire with this head coaching vacancy.
There is a victory lap to be had here in some ways. And I should have brought up the clip. I should have. But I said back in probably October, maybe even September, where it was right after the Jets fired Saleh. So what was that? Late September, I guess. I said, don't be surprised if Belichick's name is thrown around here, and don't be surprised if Belichick takes it. And it was for petty reasons, right? Like, he was so petty against the Jets for so long after the perceived slight that he had when Woody Johnson took over and tried to make him the head coach and then take his responsibilities away, right? So there was all of that, and he made it a vendetta against the Jets for 2.5 decades to say, I'm going to do two things here in New England. I'm going to win Super Bowls, and I'm going to beat the shit out of the New York Jets at any time I can. The most wins for one coach against a single franchise in the Super Bowl era, 39-13 against the Jets. He beat the Jets more than he even beat the Bills. Like, he was hell-bent on beating the crap out of the Jets. And I think they had one trade in his time there as the GM and coach of the Patriots. I mean, just incredible pettiness. So then why wouldn't he do that to the Patriots given the opportunity? And as it turns out, he was angling for that. And it's desperate, last second, falling off the ledge. Hey, my only job right now is with a meddling ACC team. Anything for me? Like, this is me moving to Chicago and asking people around, like, hey, you know of anything opening up? But it's the greatest head coach in the history of the sport going back to the team that he just left at the altar 25 years ago and saying, hey, have you heard about anything? Mike Tannenbaum, have you heard about anything opening up there with the Jets? Because, I got some interest. It sounds really pathetic, like really too bad, and a true fall from grace. That, like, if you just look at this from a Patriot standpoint, Tom Brady's having a rough year in the booth. He's got all the Botox and the memes. The Crafts are owning a team that has 3 wins and 7 over the last 2 seasons. And Bill Belichick is coaching an ACC team after trying desperately to coach the Jets. That's what's become of the Patriots dynasty. It was dead a few years ago, but this is what's become of it. This is everyone else, dancing and pissing on the grave of the Patriots dynasty. And I know I've heard all the Jets fans laughing at him, and Damian Woody, the guy who played for both the Patriots and the Jets, laughing at him. Bart Scott laughing at him. And it's just like, well, to Damian Woody, I'd say you have two pretty expensive pieces of jewelry because of Bill Belichick, and you became the highest paid interior offensive lineman in NFL history thanks to Bill Belichick. But nonetheless, they laugh at this guy, and yet the Jets are sitting there with 4 wins or 5 wins, whatever it is. Like this is the small, sliver solace of victory for the Jets this year, as it's all crashing down around them. And they brought in the Hall of Fame quarterback. Finally, this year he's healthy, and it turns out the team really stinks. And they can't even get tanking right because they went out and beat the Jaguars, a team that is not going to draft a quarterback. And the Jets probably need to think about drafting a quarterback in the first round. And now they are going to be behind the Jags in there as well, when they could have just leapfrogged them and tried to be one of those top 3 teams. Instead, they're not going to do that because they suck even at tanking. But this is their sliver of victory this year. They finally beat the Patriots at home for the first time in a decade, and they got to turn down Bill Belichick. And honestly, looking at it from the Jets standpoint, why? Why turn down Bill Belichick? I know it's fun to laugh at him. Trust me, I get that. I get the petty. It's fun. I do it to the Jets all the time. But if you're the Jets, I've said this about any team looking at Bill Belichick the last 2 off seasons. If you're one of those teams that just can't get it right, okay, and you've tried all your avenues, why not just tell your fan base and your players, hey, I got the best coach in the history of the sport. Make this work. Okay, any team that I laid out a couple of different scenarios. Any franchise that has tried everything and it's not worked, that's one. A second one would be a team that has veteran guys, that has talent, that's ready to get over that hump and potentially make it to the playoffs or be a playoff team that's ready to play in the Super Bowl. That's another one that would look at Bill Belichick. And any combination of those 2 things for a team that's not developing a young rookie quarterback. 3. And if the Jets stick with Aaron Rodgers, they hit all 3 of those criteria. Okay? It doesn't seem like they're close to a playoff team because of their record right now, but people in the know were picking them to go to the AFC Championship game this year. There's talent on that team. Okay? There's veterans on that team. Apparently not great leaders, but veterans on that team. Ones who probably don't want to take any bullshit from a head coach, or don't want to give any bullshit to their coach as long as they're winning. And they're probably not developing a young quarterback because they're probably going to stick with Aaron Rodgers. He wants to play another year. All 3 of those things. And they still said no to Bill Belichick. They've tried everything. I mean, everything for the last 15 years. And really, you want to go back the last 25, 30 years since Parcells retired. Like, they have tried it all. None of it has worked. None of it. And you have the balls to go and say no to Bill Belichick after all this, after this shit season that you're having? Laugh it up. Laugh it up. Because you're either going to run it back with the biggest weirdo ever to take the snap in Aaron Rodgers and just have another 4 or 5 win team and hear him blame everyone else, or you are going to get the 3rd or 4th quarterback in a quarterback draft that's not that strong, and you are going to try to develop him into your franchise QB the same way you tried with Geno Smith and with Sam Darnold and with Zach Wilson and with Mark Sanchez. And none of it worked. So go ahead, try again. Or you could have just had a Hall of Fame quarterback in Bill Belichick. You want to be the guy saying that, oh, no, it was all Brady. It wasn't Belichick. Well, how about you put Belichick in a situation where he's playing with a guy that's almost as talented as Brady? Not obviously anywhere close to the winner that Brady is, but you want to say it's all Brady? Well, then here you go. You give him one of the top 5 quarterbacks ever, and you have the best coach ever. And the Jets said no to that. That's my takeaway. Is it pathetic that Belichick is trying to crawl to the Jets? Sure. But what's arguably more pathetic is that the Jets are going through this shithole of a season and this shithole of the last 15 years, and they said no. Keep laughing it up, Jets fans. This is where you're going to have your source of comedy. For the rest of us, our comedy is going to be coming from watching you guys.
We are Rogue Media Sports.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. And if you like this video, be sure to give us a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel a ton. You can follow me on Twitter here for some more outrageous Boston sports takes coming to you every weekday at noon Eastern time. And then after that, wherever you get your podcasts.
We are Rogue Media Sports.